Why Eala will never deal with the wild card problem Stan Wawrinka had earlier this year. While Eala qualified through her ranking, Stan Wawrinka needed a wild card to play this year's Australian Open. And he was very nearly snubbed before tournament director Craig Tiley offered him a spot in the main draw at the last minute. Wawrinka isn't the only player fighting for wild cards, as several ATP and WTA Tour stars need a helping hand to compete in events. Unfortunately, there are only a few wildcards available, and some big names often miss out. Eala doesn't need to worry about wildcards right now, thanks to her ranking, 47th on the WTA Tour, but her popularity means she may never experience the same problem as Wawrinka. Filipino fans guarantee Eala unlimited WTA Tour wildcards. Eala is arguably the most popular player in women's tennis right now. The 20-year-old brings with her a passionate army of Filipino fans wherever she goes. Eala's matches are almost always sold out, much to the delight of tournament organizers. If Eala chooses to play your tournament, it's good news for ticket sales. That's the reason why she will never need to worry about wild cards. Should the world number 47 fall down the rankings and fail to qualify for an event, tournament organizers won't think twice before offering her a wild card. The financial reward of having Eala's fans in and around the grounds far outweighs any costs. We saw evidence of this just a few weeks ago. Eala's ranking wasn't quite strong enough to see her qualify for the Qatar Open WTA 1000 event. To the surprise of absolutely no one, she was given a wild card. The Filipina didn't need it in the end, as mass withdrawals pushed her into the main draw anyway, but the point remains the same. Assuming she can keep fans on side, which is a fair assumption given her likable personality, Eala should be able to take any wild card she pleases between now and the end of her career. But how many wild cards has she used so far? During the first few years of her career, Eala took advantage of multiple wild cards, awarded to her through her management company. Eala has used 12 wild cards so far. IMG, International Management Group, manage Eala. The management company also runs several WTA events, including the Miami Open and Madrid Open. They helped give Eala her WTA 1000 debuts by offering her wild cards to both tournaments well before her ranking justified an appearance. In total, the Filipina has entered 12 events as a wild card. He failed to make the most of her first 10, winning just one qualifying match and 2 main draw bouts. Those performances led some to question whether she deserved her place in the Miami Open and Madrid Open draws. Silencing the doubters, Eala made her breakthrough in Florida last year. Eala defeated 3 former Grand Slam champions, Jelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and Iga Swiatek, to reach the semifinals of the Miami Open. In doing so, she established herself as one of the brightest prospects in women's tennis. Eala used another wild card at the Madrid Open a few months later, where she secured another main draw win. That was the last time she needed a wild card, but if she ever does need to call upon tournament organizers, Eala can rest assured that they'll be happy to help. Tennis has always loved a paradox. It crowns its champions in the open air, under the bright, democratic sky, and yet it guards its gates with invitations. Wild cards, those coveted entries granted at a tournament's discretion, are both gifts and tests. They can be lifelines. They can be labels. Earlier this year, the great Stan Wawrinka found himself once again in the complicated space wild cards create, a champion of the sport, dependent on tournament invitations to enter the biggest stages. But if there is one rising star who will never truly face that same wild card problem, it is Eala. This is not because tennis is fairer now, nor because the ranking system has grown kinder. It is because Eala's trajectory, identity, and evolution in the modern game are built differently, architected for independence rather than rescue. The wild card paradox. A wild card is, at heart, an act of belief. Tournament directors extend them to local heroes, promising juniors, comeback veterans, or crowd favorites. In Wawrinka's case, the invitations carried the weight of history. Here was a 3-time Grand Slam champion, winner of the Australian Open, the French Open, and the US Open, reduced by injury and age to requesting entry into tournaments he once commanded. The problem was not the wild card itself. It was what it symbolized: dependency. A career that once wrote its own entry now required someone else's signature. Wawrinka's story is heroic, resilience etched into every backhand. But structurally, he was navigating the final arc of a long journey. His ranking had dipped. His body had betrayed him. The system demanded numbers. His legacy offered memories. The wild card became a bridge between what he had been and what he still wanted to be. That bridge can feel narrow. Eala's foundation, built, not borrowed. Eala's path, by contrast, has been engineered from the ground up with modern scaffolding. Trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy, she developed within a high-performance ecosystem that emphasizes sustainability, ranking discipline, and long-term progression. This matters. The academy model isn't merely about strokes and footwork. It is about understanding the economics of ranking points, the architecture of tournament scheduling, and the psychology of incremental ascent. Young players in such systems are groomed not just to win matches, but to construct careers. Eala has already demonstrated this structural intelligence. As a junior, she captured a Grand Slam doubles title at the Australian Open and later claimed a singles crown at the US Open, junior level. Those victories were not ends, they were launchpads. They secured attention, sponsorship, and, crucially, belief. Not the temporary belief of a tournament director, but the sustained belief of a global tennis community. The difference is subtle but decisive. Wild cards are episodic. Rankings are cumulative. Eala is building the ladder. A new era of data and depth. When Wawrinka first rose through the ranks, tennis operated differently. Recovery science was less refined. Scheduling analytics were primitive. Social media did not amplify every dip in form into a narrative crisis. Careers were longer in theory but harsher in attrition. Eala belongs to a generation that understands load management, sports science, and digital branding as essential parts of the athlete's toolkit. She is not merely competing for points, she is managing a system. This reduces the likelihood of the sudden ranking collapse that forces reliance on wild cards. It does not eliminate risk. Tennis is merciless, but it mitigates volatility. Her team can map tournament choices carefully, prioritize surfaces strategically, and protect her ranking trajectory with precision. In other words, her climb is measured. Geography and opportunity. There is another dimension to consider: representation. As one of the most prominent tennis players ever to emerge from the Philippines, Eala carries not only her own ambition but the hopes of a tennis-hungry nation. The Philippines has not historically flooded the WTA Tour with contenders. That makes her rise not just personal but cultural. Paradoxically, this visibility strengthens her independence. Sponsorship interest, federation support, and global curiosity provide